Winter is coming. That's all I could think of for the intro, I'm sorry. Right. Game of Thrones. You guys seem to have wanted this for a long time, so today I'm going to be giving you the facts and how Game of Thrones came to be. I don't know why you guys would want this. It's not like Game of Thrones is one of the highest grossing TV series ever made and has a fan base that's complete and utter... Well, just look on Reddit and you'll see what I mean.
Game of Thrones has been going on for a while now. It's based off the original book series by George R.R. Martin and has been brought to the screens by HBO as they sunk their teeth into this medieval fantasy epic.
So, what makes Game of Thrones so epic?
While Game of Thrones is seen as this fantasy epic with dungeons and dragons, zombies and of course naked chicks, it's all based around politics. Every time a main character pulls on one plot thread, it yanks a whole lot of others held together by any other of the characters with goals that don't usually align with the ones they're currently following. There isn't always a clear good guy, and of course there isn't always a clear bad guy, which makes every character's motivations and actions different from one another. Each character has their own intentions, from wanting to rule the lands to protecting their families, or just wanting to get their hands on some of that juicy sweet Lannister gold.
The wants and needs of the characters are always at the same interest, which makes conflict inevitable, which ultimately makes a show fun to watch and really hard to predict.
Game of Thrones viewers enjoy at least up to 8 to 10 episodes per season, and so far in the current hype to season 8 there will be 6 episodes, although Bloy said that the new episodes will be supersized. Each episode begins with a title sequence followed by a short introduction into the new episode, which usually leaves off from the previous one.
What I find really interesting, however, is how many souls actually it took for the Game of Thrones series to actually become what it is today. Over 3,589 people took part, from makeup artists to runners to catering and sound editors.
88 directors in total took part in the filming of Game of Thrones. As commented on this page, it states that not all directors can film multiple episodes, so multiple directors are needed at the same time to film more than one episode. 728 actors, from main to background actors, all are important and all play a specific role. 251 camera operators, shooting scenes from Spain, Croatia, Iceland, Morocco and even Northern Ireland. 98 sound operators capturing clear and sometimes not so clear dialogue. 56 editors, and a fun little fact, the Red Wedding was a result of 11.5 hours of footage cut down into a single hour-long episode. 699 designers, from costume and makeup artists to set designers. 1,154 special and visual effects artists, making CGI dragons and blood squibs. And finally, 518 other members that helped drive the series, from runners to roles that kept the production moving.
Game of Thrones has also attracted the likes of many fans worldwide, attending events like Comic-Con and also dressing up as their favourite characters. Also, not to mention the countless animation spin-offs that have been made honouring the series. One other thing to note is the countless merchandise that has been actually created from this series. Things like mugs, pop vinyls you can buy in shops like HMV, shirts, wallpapers and even tattoos that people get tattooed on their arm of their favourite characters. They're all available to purchase either from a tattoo artist, for example, or online from shops like Amazon.
Game of Thrones is interesting because it portrays women in many different ways. Characters like Sansa Stark, who was shown to be vulnerable at first but in the end turned out to be fierce and determined in the place of her deceased father, Ned Stark. What makes the show particularly brilliant is the fact that it refused to feed into stereotypes. We see characters like Olenna Tyrell who play the game and get what they want most of the time. Marjorie Tyrell is a perfect example of how women have negotiated with and within powerful structures and gained great influence while being seen as docile and feminine.
And lastly, I want to talk about how Game of Thrones has paved its way into popular culture.
It has definitely left a mark on the fans worldwide. With its 25 million viewers, it has been featured in programs like The Simpsons. With the next episode being released in 2019, it gives fans who've missed out on the series a chance to catch up. One interesting fact to note is that it gained 12.1 million live viewers, which is an incredible feat in today's viewership trends. Many viewers like to compare Game of Thrones with another really popular medieval classic, Lord of the Rings. For me, Game of Thrones is more about the shock value. I like being challenged in my beliefs and assumptions, and that is something that Game of Thrones does amazingly well. A character like Ned Stark, who I originally thought would be a main character, died early in the season, which made me rethink how I thought the show was formatted. With Lord of the Rings, it's not just about the storytelling, but about world building at its finest. It's all about the amount of detail that Tolkien crafted Middle-earth in. The languages, the maps, the characters, the races. It's like a world that was meant to be but isn't. While Game of Thrones is brilliant, it's mainly focused on one plot, and ultimately a one-time watch, or perhaps two if you missed any of the plot lines.
And that's it. That was 5 minutes of Game of Thrones facts for you all. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode. I'm going to need my winter coat, I think.